Good morning, welcome back to the Celtic Way. I am your host, John McGinley. I'm joined by Tony Haggerty live from Easter Road. We're here to discuss the team news and the build-up to Celtic's match against Hibernian in the Scottish Premiership. So we'll get straight into it, Tony. I'm going to run through the team here. I've got the graphic here. It's Casper Schmeichel in goal. It's a back four of Alistair Johnston, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Austin Trusty, Greg Taylor. In midfield, we have Callum McGregor, Arne Engels and Luke McCowan. And up front, it's Nicholas Kuhn, Idah and Adam Idah. That's your 11 for today. I'll just run through the subs bench as well. It's Sinisalo, Scales, Jota, Yang, Schlupp, Johnny Kenny, Rio Hatate, Anthony Ralston, and youngster Jude Bonner, who has appeared on a couple of benches this season, but not a regular on the bench, but good to see him involved. Tony, I'll get your thoughts on the team. How are you feeling about that?
I'm feeling very good about that. I like that rotation, John, and that's the luxury you've got with a decent squad that you can do that. Like, good to see Adam Idah up front. Good to see Luke McCowan in as well. Happy with that. Jeffrey Schlupp drops out for Greg Taylor. Kind of half expected that as well because Schlupp put in a great shift the other night. But in the nicest possible sense, I get around, John. You know what I mean? So midweek Munich, today Edinburgh, Easter Road. Really looking forward to this, John. Actually, I want to see how Celtic respond from the disappointment of Wednesday night, but also the kind of pride in the way they played. I think they've got their game head on in terms of ticking them off towards the title. And what are they? 7 wins away, I believe. Is that right? 7 wins away. So, just tick them off as we go along, as I said there. And not been the happiest of hunting grounds for Brendan Rodgers. The last time Celtic won here was his first ever time winning. So here's hoping they can continue in that vein. But strong team, John, capable of getting a result for me.
Yeah, undoubtedly, and it seemed Rodgers yesterday in his press conference talked about how the squad was in great physical shape. I think he used those words. He was talking up their athleticism and kind of physicality, even in the wake of all the efforts that were put into the Munich match. I think that extra day has helped make this a much stronger team. As we've kind of discussed on the channel yesterday, I think we'll probably see a rotated team against Aberdeen on Tuesday, just given the quick turnaround. I think today was always going to be a stronger team because, as you say, Easter Road's not the easiest of venues for Celtic, and Hibs are on a pretty long unbeaten run. They've not been beaten since Celtic beat them in December, so fair play to them.
John, this is by no means a gimme, as they say in football. Celtic will need to earn the right to win this football match, but you just trust this manager and you trust this set of players and you trust the group to come up with a plan to win this match. And I'm particularly delighted to see Adam Idah up front. I want to see him get in about it again, and hopefully he gets on the score sheet. So looking forward to that particular. The front three. I always think the front three are really important, John. And Idah switching back to the left where he's been familiar. Jota rested as well. So yeah, I still think this is a team that's capable of coming here and causing Hibs problems and getting all 3 points. But you cannot write Hibs off. They're on a decent run of form, really good. And I think they'll fancy this today to see if there is any kind of, that they always talk about a Euro hangover and stuff like that. But I think there's enough refreshment in the team for Celtic to be bang at it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, one of the key players coming in is Luke McCowan. It's great to see him in the team. There's slight disappointment I'm sensing from some of the chat members. Good morning to everyone in the chat, by the way. It's good to see you all. There's a sense that there's a disappointment that Jeffrey Schlupp isn't starting. I think people want to see more of him after Bayern because he just put in such a performance against a really good team midweek. But as we know, I've got no problems with Greg Taylor domestically at all, and I think he'll be very good for Celtic. He'll probably be motivated to try and prove a point that he is still a good player for Celtic. He'll be wanting to show that today, won't he?
Without a doubt, I was really impressed by Schlupp on Tuesday night. I thought he was playing because he obviously had that knowledge of Michael Olise at Crystal Palace. Started off a bit tentatively, but he grew into the game, didn't he? And he was absolutely fantastic. And I think everybody watched it. I mean, the talk of it afterwards, and I said it myself on the pod, was I would sign Jeffrey Schlupp as backup to Kieran Tierney. I would be asking the question right now because Celtic need quality backup for Tierney. And also, you don't know how many games Tierney will actually play. And I think Schlupp proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's played in the Premier League. He's got some quality there, John, and he's got some physicality there as well. And if you can play like that in the Allianz Arena against, Michael Olise, then you can play like that against anybody, really. You know what I mean? So I'm really chuffed what he brought. Am I sad to see him out the side today? Not particularly. I just know it's a team game and Rodgers will rotate. And I really did think he said to Jeffrey Schlupp the other night, give me everything you've got and I'll rotate you for the Hibs game. He'll probably be back in for the Aberdeen game. I'm sure that's the way the manager's thinking. So I'm not too fussed about that. I think you have to manage the players wisely as you're ticking them off to hopefully sealing the title, John. So I think it's wise management by Rodgers. But in terms of Jeffrey Schlupp, really impressed by what he's brought to the table so far.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was obviously on media duties yesterday. He was asked about, how he's enjoying the Celtic experience. He said it's exceeding his expectations. But he was asked about staying, and he obviously non-committal. No players giving that away in a press conference. That's just not how it works. So, pretty much saying, he's just focused on the rest of the season, and then what happens from the summer will be. But Brendan Rodgers also asked about it in terms of does he want Schlupp to stay, and just said he was a little coy with his answer. He just said they'll be having conversations as they go, and then they'll talk about it. I think obviously if Schlupp's happy coming here and Celtic can figure out the wages that he wants, and it makes sense for the club to have that in rotation with Kieran Tierney, I think everyone would like to see that. But yeah, he's not in the team today. No, won't talk about him too much. How you feeling about that front three? Idah back in the team again. He'll be desperate to prove a point here and continue what has been pretty good form for him in recent weeks.
To be fair, it's a happy hunting ground for Idah, isn't it? He scored 2 cracking penalties, pressured penalties, John, and a 2-1 win here last season, which really ingratiated himself to the Celtic supporters. So it's a place he knows well, and I think Adam Idah is growing on the Celtic supporters. There's been a lot of them with their own personal jury out, and again, that's up to the individual. But I'm seeing enough in Adam Idah, and I've always been convinced, guy's a player. He will score goals for Celtic. He will hold the ball up for Celtic. He will run the channels. He came last season, had that purple patch where everything he touched seemed to turn to gold. And then he didn't really have a pre-season because it was very stop-start and all the protracted negotiations come to Celtic. So he's playing maybe catch-up in terms of his fitness. And lots of people were having their say on whether he would cut the mustard at Celtic or not. I have no qualms about this guy. 2 goals at Villa Park also just reminded you of what he can do. When you put the ball in front of him, he will score. So he's one in particular I don't do player cam and all that, but I want to just study him today and watch what he does, because I still think there's a wonderful footballer in there, John, a talented footballer there. And I think once he really finds his feet at this club, the goals will flow. Because I think he said himself, he's his own worst critic, isn't he, at times? And maybe is guilty of trying too hard. But there's enough pace and invention and creativity and energy in that front three to create chances today for Adam Idah. So I expect him to get on the score sheet.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just if you're joining us late, I know some people join the stream as it goes. This is the team today. Schmeichel and goal, Johnston, Carter Vickers, Trusty, Taylor, McGregor, Engels and McCowan, Kuhn, Idah and Maeda. Maeda back on the left, Arnie Engels still in the team. I mean, this is a strong 11, Tony. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Rodgers has full belief that his team can back up the exertions of midweek and come out and set the tone and the energy in this first half today. Otherwise, he would have changed up the team more, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Look at that team, John. That's a rotated team, and it's strong, and it's still as strong as it gets, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no Jota. There's no Schlupp. There's no
Hatate.
There's no Hatate. So I'm very happy that Celtic have the luxury of being able to do that, and and so I'm very, as I say, I'm pretty relaxed about that team. I'm not looking at that team thinking, oh, he's taking a risk there. Whereas sometimes you see the team rotated and you think, oh no, that for me is a team. I just think whatever 11 Celtic team, try that again. Whatever 11 the Celtic manager decides to field, they're capable of getting a result against MD, certainly domestically. And the players that played the other night, they'll be bursting to prove that, they'll be bursting to prove a point in terms of, they got so far, so close in Munich, but now back to the old routine, John. And it ain't broke and it doesn't need fixed, tweaked every now and again. But this is a manager who says to these players, I'm putting my trust in you, go and do the job. And I'm looking at Arne Engels in particular as well. Arne Engels was outstanding the other night. That for me was Arne Engels' best performance in a Celtic jersey, just as the music comes on. And I think a lot of Celtic supporters were in agreement with that. He showed that he belonged on that stage. Well, here's another stage. Go and show it domestically as well and help make the countdown to the title a procession, John.
Yeah. I think that music's maybe our cue to let you go disco dancing before kick-off, Tony. And I'm going to assume that we don't want to see that on the stream, so you can enjoy that in private ahead of kick-off. Tony's going to be back after full time. We're going to be here live on the channel. We're going to have stuff all over the website. Tony's doing a lot of stuff from Easter Road today, so we'll be happy to speak to you later, Tony. Just in terms of predictions, I'll give mine. I think this could be 3-1 Celtic today. I'm thinking both teams could get on the score sheet, but I think Celtic's quality will go clear. Tony, just a final prediction from yourself?
I always go up, one up or one down, John. I'll go one up this time. I'll go 4-1 Celtic.
Nice one. Right, thanks everyone for joining us in the chat. We'll be back after full time. We'll be talking about whatever happens in the game, win, lose or draw with Celtic. See you then. Goodbye everyone.